Hey guys, CJ here, bringing you the top 5 X-Men villains. And yes, this is actually not a top 5 on Tuesday. I'm sorry, I got super busy the last couple of days, and instead of rushing something out and having the production quality be lower than what we wanted it to be, because we know you guys expect more from us, we decided to wait, sit on it a little bit, give me a little more time to workshop it, get it where we wanted it to, and come out today. So, hope you guys enjoy this. Please forgive me for it being late, but without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at our honorable mention slot is Onslaught, and if you didn't see what I did there, for a villain with the combined powers of Magneto and Professor X, you'd think he'd be a main threat. Well, it's not so, as aside from his weird origin that amounts to Professor X losing his cool, putting Magneto in a coma, and giving off some bad vibes, Onslaught's really only appeared a handful of times, most notably in 2014's Axis storyline. Coming in at number 5, it's William Stryker, and yes, he's perhaps one of the best-known X-Men villains thanks to Bryan Singer's movies. Colonel William Stryker's movie origin, though, is actually wildly different than his comic book counterpart. In fact, he's not even a colonel in the comics, he's only a sergeant. And while Stryker on film was a mutant-loathing military man with a mutant son himself, Stryker in the comics combines those lovable attributes with an even more fun one: religious fanaticism. Yes, Stryker in the comics was something of a Bible thumper, actually becoming a televangelist after his army days in the story arcs God Loves, Man Kills 1 and 2. Stryker is a really persistent X-Men baddie, always running around and stirring up trouble with schemes like trying to kill Kitty Pryde on live TV, or brainwashing Professor X into almost killing all the mutants. For his bigotry and big dreams, he makes the list. Coming in at number 4, it's Bastion, and spoiler alert here, while the Sentinels are a great and powerful enemy for the X-Men, I did not want the list to be dominated by them. So in comes Bastion, ironically to save the day, is by far and away the most dangerous threat the Sentinels ever produced. Bastion was born of the unholy fusion of the Advanced Sentinels Master Mold and Nimrod, passed through the Dimensional Judgment Portal Siege Perilous, and then slow roasted on 350 degrees for 2.5 hours before emerging a human-Sentinel hybrid. Raised a human, he fell in with the anti-mutant groups before his programming awakened, and he became the ultimate anti-mutant weapon, with the ability to turn humans into prime Sentinels using nanotechnology. In addition, Bastion's strength, speed, and overwhelming durability make him one of the toughest villains the X-Men have ever faced. Coming in at number 3, it's Mr. Sinister. And one of the X-Men's most signature and sinister villains, Mr. Sinister actually has a really interesting backstory, especially for a history-loving dork like myself. Sinister was a scientist living in Victorian London and working on evolutionary biology when he was contacted by an awakened Apocalypse himself. Struggling with the death of his child and his wife's loathing for him, he took Apocalypse's offer, turning him into an immortal mutant, with a long list of powers ranging from telepathy and telekinesis to regenerative healing and concussive blasts. However, despite his great powers and villainous streak, Sinister remains a man of strange honor in the pursuit of science. However, this is tainted with his belief that science should trump morality, as is demonstrated through his work with the Nazis, experiments on soldiers during the Vietnam War, and his massacre of the Morlocks. Yes, Apocalypse himself comes in at number 2. The original mutant in Sabanur was born thousands of years ago with an extremely powerful mutation, the ability to control and change every molecule in his body, as well as telekinesis, telepathy, and technopathy, along with a host of other powers gained upon his fusion with celestial technology. Originally awakening in the 1980s, a century earlier than planned due to the arrival of Cable from the future, which ironically is what Cable came back to prevent, Apocalypse recruited mutants to become his horsemen, chiefly among them Angel, who he turned into a cyborg and christened Archangel. While the X-Men would emerge victorious, Apocalypse still lurks, attempting to bring about the final battle between humanity and mutant kind, only to repeatedly have his efforts stopped by the X-Men. Coming in at number 1, it's Magneto. While some on this list might be more powerful, none of the X-Men's other villains is more iconic than Magneto. A Holocaust survivor and mutant supremacist, Max Eisenhart, or known by his original alias Eric Lenscher, was the X-Men's original antagonist, appearing in the very first issue in 1963. With his metal-manipulating powers and dogmatic worldview, he's the Malcolm X to Professor Xavier's more pragmatic Martin Luther King Jr. Eric, of course, is intriguing, as some could argue that he's not really a villain, as he's become much more of an anti-hero in the past few years, and while we hear that argument, anti-hero or not, he's been the X-Men's primary foe for the better part of 50 years, and that's how he'll stay in the hearts and minds of comic book fans, a sympathetic villain. After all, it's probably why IGN ranked him as the greatest comic book villain of all time. So that about wraps it up for another edition of Top 5 Tuesdays, but this time it's on Wednesday. I'm sorry again for that, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments below if you enjoyed it and what you would change. And also, we're looking for suggestions for future Top 5 videos, so if you think you got a good one, drop us a line in the comments below, and who knows, we might just use it. We'll let you know about that, of course. But, of course, I hope you enjoyed watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Signing off, this is CJ. I'll see you next time.